Dr. Homebrew is brought to you by 5 Star Chemicals, providing safety and cleaning supplies for brewing, distilling, and winemaking at 5starchemicals.com.
Doctor, look!
Stand aside, nurse. I'm Dr. Homebrew.
Stand clear.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Dr. Homebrew. It is the show that is still trying to figure out its stupid audio problems. So I'm going to turn my headphones up and then turn everybody down, and I think it'll be fine.
Really?
I don't know. I don't understand. I think I'm really terrible at running the board. I think I'm a better host than a board runner, and that's not saying much.
You still sound a little quiet.
I do, right? And I don't know why, because
Yeah.
I'm peeking on the things here. I don't understand. Whatever.
It's okay.
Let's just get out of here.
There you go.
Thank you. This has been Dr.
Bye.
Homebrew.
Whatever. It's terrible. Terrible radio. Terrible radio, people. But thank you for joining us anyways.
It'll come out later with all the compression that they add in post-production, right?
It'll be fine. I'll sound like Barry White. But he's dead, right?
Yes,
is
you
he
kind of
dead?
sound like him already.
Yeah. Here's my Barry White impression. Thank you very much. All right, so it's Dr. Homebrew. Today we have two very good beers, I think, for us. One, we have a homebrew from Kirk. Right?
Kirk?
I think. Kirk. Sorry, Kirk.
Sorry.
Much shit going on, Kirk. We have a homebrew from Kirk, and then we're doing another commercial calibration from what's our calibration beer? The Celebrator.
The
Angus
Doublebock.
Celebrator.
From the Iyengar Brewery.
Right, the one with a little plastic goat hanging on it.
Yes, that's the world famous plastic goat hanger
Yeah.
on her. So whenever I buy one of these beers, which is not all that often because it's not my favorite style, but every once in a while you got to kind of dig this big malt bomb. I always buy one with a goat because you'll notice sometimes in the liquor stores that the goat is missing.
Yeah.
And you can't drink it otherwise. You can't drink it if it's missing a goat. And then I take the goat off and I hang it on my Star Wars beer stein. And so I keep track of how many of these I've ever had in my entire lifetime.
Wow.
Wow.
There you go.
I've got one of those hanging in my fermentation chamber, so yeah. It's cool. It's my mascot.
Little good luck
Keeps my beer
goat charm.
You know what's going to happen to you when they all come to life.
No.
No, you
like,
don't want to know.
like the Indian in the cupboard.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Welcome, Dr. Homebrew, everyone. Before we get going, I wanted to thank our sponsor, 5 Star Chemicals. You can go to 5starchemicals.com. Check them out. They do PBW, Star San, all the cleaning and sanitizing supplies you need to keep making great homebrew. Go to 5starchemicals.com. Normally, this is where I do the purpose of the show, but I think after our 35th show, this is our 35th show, I think everyone kind of understands the purpose and point.
Just skip right
Dr.
on through
Homebrew.
to the
Are
meaning
you
of
saying
life.
that we're without purpose now?
I'm saying that we're not without purpose, but we're without defined purpose.
I mean, our purpose is stated, so it is
Right.
defined. We just don't have to state it.
It's without redefined purpose.
So it's not a defined purpose.
Reinforced. It's defined, but it's not redefined.
Redefined as what?
I don't know.
You need a zingy tagline that sums it up in like 6 words,
Where purpose is anathema, but beer is welcome.
See?
There you go.
I don't even understand what beer or welcome means.
We taste your beer so you don't have to.
That's not bad.
That's what it's all about, people.
Let me write that down. Hold on
Right.
a second. We taste your beer so you don't have... Good.
I like that, huh?
Brian, you're hired.
It's better than at least your beer will look good. That's lame. Whoever thought of that should be fired from the BN.
But it's true.
That's
That's
true
the Grog
sometimes.
Tag tagline.
Grog Tag.
They
yeah.
are a fine sponsor of
Those guys
this show.
They're cool, yeah.
They should be cool. Whatever. I don't know. They sponsor this show. Anyone who sponsors this show is okay in my book.
They must be cool, yeah.
If you want to be a guest on this fine production that we call Dr. Homebrew, shoot me an email, jp@thebrewingnetwork.com. I will get back to you. I am running through my list of people to contact. So if you haven't heard from me, don't worry about it. I do have your email. Please do not worry about it. Do not fail. Do not give up the ghost. You will be on this show, I promise. And everyone who is on this show...
Just send them another one.
Yeah, no, don't do that. because see what
A
happens.
really long, whiny one.
I get confused because they won't collapse in the same thing, right? So I've done this before. I've sent people multiple emails. I'm like, I was on last month, dummy. What are you doing? I go, oh, well, why would you send me 2 emails asking to be on the same show? I don't know.
Because I didn't hear back from you for 4 months.
Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I do the same thing. You don't know what I'm talking about, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
I think this Kirk guy's been on the show 6 times already. I don't know. No, maybe not. Maybe this is his first time. I don't know.
Who knows? So, yeah, I am running down the list. I will get to you. I apologize for those of you who've been waiting for a little bit. But email me, jp@thebrainnetwork.com. And so, like I said, we're going to have a beer from Kirk, which is a Lambic, right?
No.
It's
an old ale.
It's an old ale.
It's an old ale.
We're doing an old ale from Kirk, and then we're going to do this Celebrator Doublebock.
Doublebock with the goat.
Is that how you pronounce it? Because on the label it says double, Double. And I don't know. I'm
They've
stupid.
translated
That's
it
for Americans.
Is that what it is? Finest Bavarian Doublebock.
Right.
And then
But it also says Doublebock at the top if you read it.
It's a Celebrator. Oh, yeah, Doppelbock.
Underneath Celebrator.
It's the export version. I mean, if you buy that in Germany, it's a real goat. It's not made out of plastic. it's all toned down for us over here.
Oh, that would be kind of amazing, wouldn't it? That would make going to Europe worth it.
Yeah.
Just to go in a liquor store and buy a bottle of beer and a small goat.
With a real 2-inch goat hanging from the neck.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
The hell with those taxidermy bottles. This is better.
You don't
Things
need
live,
that.
you have to feed it.
Yeah. Screw you, brew dogs, or whatever your name is. Brew punks. What are they called?
Yes, all that.
Whatever. I don't know. Okay, we're going to take a break because we've been doing radio for so long. And then, well, you know what? Forget about it. Let's just get Kirk on the line. What do you think?
Is he on the line?
He's on. Well,
Let's get him on the line.
He'll be on the line in a second.
Oh.
I don't even care.
Okay.
I'm doing the show the way I want to do the show.
So no break.
No break. Why would we need a break? Kirk, are you there?
I don't know.
I'm here.
All right. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Perfect. Just trying to figure this whole thing out. Figure this whole thing called life out, man.
Are you really perfect?
I'm perfect, yeah. Well, I feel perfect. And it's all in a state of mind, right?
Sure.
How do you feel?
I feel sleepy.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's like 1,000 o'clock where you are.
Right.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Our first contestant who will fall asleep while we're talking to them.
Well, to be fair, I've been drinking since noon.
Nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good, man. Not too bad.
We were drinking some good King Henry Special Reserve just before we started talking to you. So it's the
We're ready to
2011.
go, yeah.
We're warmed up and ready.
Wow, you're doing better than I am.
Well, we try. We got to live high on the hog over here.
We had to catch up.
So tell me, Kirk, how long you been homebrewing?
Well, I originally, I brewed my first batches in like the mid-'90s when I was in college, and then quit for a long time, and then started again in 2009. So about 5 years I've been making drinkable beer.
After the kids grew up, what's the story there?
That's a good way. That's a good way to put it.
I was a climbing bum for about 12 years, and didn't have a house, lived in the back of a truck, that kind of thing. And it's kind of hard to maintain your fermentation temperatures.
Hard to brew in the back of an F-150.
Yeah.
Just park at altitude.
Yeah, well, that's a good call. Yeah.
So you've been making drinkable homebrew for a little bit, and then how long have you been trying this recipe? Have you ever attempted this recipe before?
No, so the old ale is something that I've never really had good commercial examples of, and so I just sort of on a whim bought Wyeast's Old Ale Blend, and thought, sure, I'll throw that in and
why
see
not?
what happens.
Yeah.
And I made it a couple of years ago. I'm not necessarily sure it's a great old ale. In fact, more what I'm looking for is feedback on where to stick this.
Okay. Are you looking to enter a competition with it, or just for your own clarification?
It's actually been in a couple of competitions, and there's a really heavy Brett character in this beer, I think, and it tends to get beaten up because of that.
Well, Kirk, we have told people where to stick their beers before, but we'll try to be a little nicer with you.
It hasn't always been welcomed
Right.
in the proper spirit of perfection.
Sure. Let's talk about what category to stick it in. Let's start there.
There we go. Okay. I think we can do that.
Sure.
All right, Brian, why don't you start us off, man, with Kirk's
right.
Old Ale here.
Yeah. Do we want to pour some more of it here, Lee?
Yeah, why
Let's
not?
taste it while
Let's have this
we
beer
judged
going.
it before the show and hung out for a while here, but
Here's your perfect pour.
19A. We judged it as a 19A because it was presented as an old ale. The malt character comes across with a bit of a fruity and an earthy and cherry-like malt character. However, this Brettanomyces character just jumps right over the top of that. Everything else is kind of buried by this leathery, sharp Brett note, and it's. I did find a lightly sherry, kind of wine-like aroma in it, and it's a little bit tart smelling. It has a lot of cherry, berry, raspberry-like esters in it. No hops were detected in the aroma.
Yeah, even just sitting on the table here, a foot away, I get a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Hello, Brett. So, appearance-wise, that has a deep reddish amber color, and it's very clear. Head was a low beige. Stand-to-fine bubbles just fade to a low color pretty quick around the rim of the glass there. And in the flavor, I found again, fruity cherry-like malt. It was lightly tart with a big Brettanomyces character up front. It's this kind of horse blanket, leather, and sweat kind of a thing in there with the other elements. Didn't get any hop. Those are typical descriptors, too, for kind of Brettanomyces Brett character that you can get. So they're not always, they may sound negative, but they're not always negative connotations. And in actuality, I find this beer quite pleasant to drink. It's just you don't expect that big of a Brett character in an old ale, and it can have some of that. You can get a little leatheriness alongside the treacle and the molasses-like notes that you would expect in this beer. But this one doesn't have too much of that. It's got caramel. It doesn't really have a lot of nuttiness, chocolatiness, treacle, and rich malty, bold flavors. They've faded to this kind of fruit-like thing alongside all this Brett. So that's the flavor to me. That kind of sums it up. There's definitely some alcohol going on there. Bites you a little bit, but not harsh. Mouthfeel-wise, it's got this kind of medium to medium full body, somewhere in that range. It feels a bit light for the style, although there's some obvious alcohol warmth in there. Carbonation seemed medium low, which is pretty appropriate. Wasn't very necessarily overly creamy and smooth. I thought I had a little bit of astringency in there. Sometimes with the heavy Brett beers, it does a little thing in your throat with that leathery thing. It kind of clings to the back of your throat and gives you the impression of astringency. Might actually be like grain astringency necessarily. This may have been a nicely made old ale, and again, a small amount of Brett can be acceptable, but this is just way over the top. If you have you claim it as a wood aged, if you enter an old ale and you have just a little bit of that character, then great. But if you want to really enter this somewhere else, you'd have to enter it as a specialty and use old ale as the base style, or maybe even something else. But with a wood aged and Brett character, there was no wood declared in this that I saw. So I don't know. Was this aged on wood?
No, there was no wood in this.
Yeah. So, I mean, if what the guidelines say is that some wood-aged versions of Old Ale will have this character, but this one doesn't have wood. It just has the Brett. And it's just taken over and soured it a little bit. And, all that being said, this beer is actually pretty pleasant to drink. It's tasty and enjoyable for what it is. I honestly don't quite know where to put it. It's not sour enough to be a Belgian sour or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you just enjoy the beer, I don't think that you're going to find a category where it is going to really do well. Specialty category, if you define it well enough for the judges of what your intent was with the beer.
Like an old ale with Brett.
Old ale with Brett, it's going to do better than just putting it in as the old ale in the regular 19A category.
Because you have to declare that. You have to let them know, right? That you knew what you were doing, even though maybe you didn't. Maybe it was a thing you picked up, but that you are aware that it's there. And that,
or at least that you need to give them a base style. You need to tell them where you think it is.
Yeah. Give them something to go on. Yeah. So wow, it's a really interesting beer. Thanks for sharing it. And I give it a 26 just because it's not to the old ale style. And I hope you can find a good classic, a good homebrewed or commercial example of an old ale.
Are there many? I don't. Doesn't Fuller's do one? Isn't there vintage ale that they come out with every year? Isn't that an old ale?
Is a great one. Yeah, Fuller's vintage ale in the red box. Just grab some of those and lay them down for a couple of years and drink those and do a vertical. Have some fun with that. Is it? Yeah. What else is there?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, Theakston's Old Peculiar is good if you can find it. It's sort of a darker, chocolatier version, a little lighter in alcohol. If you like Brett, if you can find some Gale's Prize Old Ale, that's good. It tends to be really Brett. Most of those I found have been so aged, though, they're getting kind of hard to find a good one, I think. The Green King Old Suffolk's a good one. Harveston Old Engine Oil is almost like an Imperial Stout. Young's Winter Warmer you might find. I'm not sure I've seen the Sam Smith's Winter Warmer around lately. The Fuller's 1845.
No, that should be coming out shortly, though. And they've switched now from the clear bottles to those brown bottles that all the new kids are doing. So
that should help,
Yeah, it should help a lot.
That new technology, brown glass.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, for a beer style that doesn't really have hops in it. But yeah. Well, some of them, like the Fuller's ones, have a fair amount of hop when they're young. So,
yeah. It's a fun style. It's great to age and get some of those funky sherry-like things alongside all the molasses and the rich Englishy malt flavors. What kind of base malt did you use? I'll let Lee describe the beer, though. But I mean, really using the English, traditional English floor malted stuff for these kind of beers is really going to give you a lot better result. But if you just use American malt as your base, it's going to be a little different.
Yeah, I think it's hard to tell from the notes. This beer's a couple of years old, and the brewing notebook that it was in has been spilled on 60 or 70 times. But I'm guessing it was probably like a crisp, because that's what the brewery around here was using at the time. But not like a floor malted Maris Otter or something like that.
Yeah. Well, crisp is good stuff. I mean, the notes we have here from your recipe said something about America as the origin, so we weren't sure, but yeah.
That's because Pro Mash is kind of pathetic in their options.
Okay. Well, thank you. Yeah. Good beer, actually, in its own weird way.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
a very
do enjoy
strange way.
Yeah. I would have a second glass of this. Honestly.
And you can.
I will.
Yes. I sent 2 bottles. The interesting thing about this beer was that I made it before I really understood how to make a beer with Brettanomyces and not have that character dominate. And so what I did was I used the Wyeast Old Ale blend and just pitched that into the beer after making a starter. And so the Old Ale blend from Wyeast, the 9097, has a Saccharomyces and a Brettanomyces strain.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the Brett just sort of took over and took off.
It did.
Yeah, especially if you give it some dextrins or something to, some long chain starches to chew on for a while. It'll sit there and just get happy and settle right in. And here I am.
Here it probably started on the primary sugars.
Yeah.
All right, Lee, give us your rundown, buddy.
So, I mean, my rundown's pretty similar to Brian's. I mean, there's a lot of caramel in this beer for the malt. Now, a lot of caramel note flavors. And it's just kind of a straight candy caramel sort of thing. It's nice, but it doesn't have quite the malt complexity I'd want in an old ale. So for old ales, you want to get a few, sort of supporting flavor malts in there to help complexify the malt profile. And you had a little bit in here that I see in your recipe, but it didn't really come through very strongly. The pale chocolate and chocolate malt just aren't showing. You had very small additions of those, which is probably why. But I got, a little fair amount of the caramel malt, and then just in the nose, massive pie cherry Brettanomyces sort of aromas. A little bit of an almost red wine tannic note. No hops, cherry and cola esters, and a little bit of that spicy, sweaty, animal, cedary kind of note from the Brettanomyces. Poured a little bit ahead. It went away immediately, fades to a few bubbles. Orange copper color was pretty nice, had a little bit of haze. Better now that it's warmed up a bit. And again, the flavor, the first thing that gets you is that Brett pie cherry kind of flavor, and then a big caramel. And they play pretty well together, those flavors, but that pie cherry was just really intense. It's not what I would expect in an old ale. And after that, you get some other esters, some berry and some strawberry and some sort of the more woolly, animal-y kind of Brett and a little supporting bittering. It was kind of nice. It finishes with sweet, lingering caramel, which is interesting considering it's 2 years old with all that Brett in it. But it doesn't seem to have dried it out completely. It's actually got some sweetness, this beer.
Yeah, I would agree. There's actually a woolly animal in there, too.
Is it a goat?
No. Goats are harder to get around here. Sheep are easy.
Okay. Okay.
Dry sheeped in the fermenter or in the
sheep
keg?
dipped the beer. Okay.
No,
yeah.
It was a double decocted sheep.
Okay.
Those are pretty rare.
Yeah, it's hard to get a sheep to stay around for that kind of treatment. Yeah. Medium body, medium low carbonation, a little bit of a burn to the alcohol, not much. It wasn't astringent. Mostly it was a nice beer. I mean, I really enjoyed drinking it. I kind of like Brett beers, at least to some degree, if they're not too sour. And this had a ton of Brett flavor. But for the style, for the Old Ale, I mean, Old Ale really is a pretty wide style. It can encompass a lot of things. But it's pretty clear, at least by the guidelines, that when it comes to Brett, it should be sort of a background note. It's not a big thing. And the Brett is pretty dominant. So I would say you probably kind of had a style miss on that one. And it could be used a little bit more complexity for the malt, I think, so maybe add a little bit more of the specialty malts that you were putting in there, the pale chocolate and the chocolate.
So bump those and not the Karastan.
Yeah. I mean, given how sweet it is, I would definitely not bump the Karastan, although a pound of it that you put in here, this is what, a 6-gallon batch? Yep. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it came through that strongly. But yeah, I would definitely bump some of the other flavor malts a little bit. And if you want the Brett character, I would pick an English yeast you like and get a separate Brett culture. And pitch that English yeast first, and then let it ferment out to completion and rack it into a secondary, and then add the Brett. So when all that primary sugar is gone, let the Brett do its slow aging thing.
Just to limit the amount of Brett character
so you don't get this massive Brett character.
Yeah.
And if better, even put it in a barrel somewhere. But that can be harder to do.
Yep.
But yeah, that would, I think, throttle back the Brettanomyces contribution in this a bit. And then give it some chance to age. It's interesting, this beer being 2 years old. Brian picked up a little oxidation character. I really didn't get much. Maybe a little bit of sort of marzipan flavor this time around, but it's pretty minimal. I'm kind of wondering if the Brett being sort of slowly active over time might slow that down a bit. Mm-hmm. Certainly you can have like 3-4-year-old lambics out of a barrel. They don't taste like they've been gone to paper and cardboard.
Right.
Yeah, and you could, in addition to the Karastan you used was pretty light. It's like SRM 30 or 34 or something, or
mid-30s.
Yeah, throw some 60s or 80s in there to get some of that middle kind of richer,
build that body up,
treacle and other stuff. I see you actually added some molasses in there too, and that's interesting. It's not out of place in this beer, but you can also get some molassesy rich flavors from other malts. Throw a little Special P in there, or some other interesting malts. Bump up the chocolate. It looks like a really low percentage of that pale chocolate. You could bump that up a bit and get some. It's going to be a malt bomb of a beer, and it's got to come across with that. A lot of those flavors in there. Just interesting. Whatever balance you find that works for the beer, you need to just play around with it, and like Lee said, adding the Brett later, if you want it to be a Brett aged old ale, along with some wood, would be a good way to go after it's all fermented out with the primary yeast strain.
Yeah, and if you want just a little bit of the wood, you can always do some oak cubes, toasted oak cubes, just to get that flavor in there. Yeah. And I mean, actually, some of these old ales, like especially the Fuller's examples we listed, they're no darker than this. So actually, a malt profile like this would be appropriate for making one of those. It'll come out different from some of the ones with a more sort of blend of darker malt profiles in there. But it's a wide open style on that front. I like these with a little more dark malt complexity, but you could do one around this sort of color range and have it turn out really well.
Yeah, to me, that's what I think of when I think of old ale, or I think I made one several years ago, and it was malty and dark. It was a lot darker than this. That's what I think of if someone hands me an old ale.
Yeah, some of them really
like a red cup. I go, okay, this is going to be darker. It's going to be kind of more reddish, and a big malt bomb.
Yeah, but some of them really, they just kind of pick up where a high-gravity bitter would leave off, that sort of caramelly color and flavor profile. They get bigger from there, and some of them get darker, but not all of them.
And without the Brett in the way, that stuff would shine through, I'm sure, in this same beer, you know, if it just wasn't there. But
I love the aroma of this thing, man.
Sure made it interesting.
Here, sniffing my empty glass. It's good. I mean, I think Brian was right. It's still a good. It's still a good beer. It's just maybe not an old ale.
The balance of that Brett has just thrown it out of style. It's too much. I mean, you know, you could enter as a Category 23 specialty thing now, or next year when we got new style guidelines, there'll probably be some place that's more specific for beers like this. No, Brett age beers, but for now, it's without a home.
It's going to take us a really special judge to understand this beer. Somebody much more special than we are.
Well, I'm pretty special. So, you know.
You are. It sounds like
Special Olympics.
Cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Phil. You want something?
Yeah, as a fellow homebrewer, when I tasted this and I got a great aroma, it's almost like it nailed a Flanders brown ale. It's very well rounded. It's soft and smooth. It's almost like you got a bit of peaty in there. It got sick a little bit, then that went away, and the peaty just disappeared. But it rounded it out very nicely. I think if you entered it as a Flanders brown, it actually might compete well.
What do you guys think?
It's maybe not as sour as some of the examples of that beer are going to be, but it's like some of the funkier, leatherier, less sour versions of that style. Could be closer to that territory. Yeah. If you let it age another couple of years, maybe it will get there.
It's got great aroma, and the flavor is so well rounded. It's very complex.
It is
in a subtle manner,
but it's not sour though, right?
No,
and that's what you would need. Would you need that for that style?
You'd probably. They don't have to be very sour, but you do need some. Yeah,
some, right?
And I mean, for me, I think the Brett will be over the top for a Flanders for Nude Bruin.
It almost has too much tannin in it. The tannin almost dominates the.
But it would probably score better than an old ale, right?
We'd be curious, and if you have a bottle or two or three to spare, enter it as an Ode Bruin and see what happens, and then send us the reports,
or just drink them.
Yeah, or just save them, drink them.
There's not a lot left, so
drink them, and you said that now you kind of understand more how to build this beer. I'd like to. We'd like to try your current iteration of this.
Yeah, I think if I were to do it again, I wouldn't change anything. I think I would just pitch an English yeast early on and then put the old ale blend in later.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Yeah,
secondary, and just see the difference because it's got to be huge.
And a little bit of wood, I would suggest with that too. Just throw in a couple cubes at least, just to give it a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have the same level of tannins that you're getting with the Brett and stuff here, and that oak would be a welcome addition with that alongside the Brett, yeah.
Yeah, like a couple of cubes of medium toast.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any questions for the guys, Kirk?
No, I think you guys covered it. I think my fear was that there was no place for this, no home
in your belly.
Yeah, I think, exactly right. The home is in your glass, down your throat, man.
Yeah, that's working out.
Good. All right. Well, hey, thanks a lot, Kirk. I really appreciate you sending the beer in and
staying up late.
And staying up late, yeah. And we have some other beers from you too, so maybe we'll get you back on another show, or we'll just
that'd be great.
Or we'll just chug them real fast and then drive home.
You should funnel them.
Pretty sure he's going to win the grog tag too.
We do have the Dr. Homebrewer official beer bong, and I think we're just gonna do that.
Do it, huh?
Why not?
Yeah.
Who cares, right?
Idea.
You only live once.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah, thanks. All right, Kirk. Right. See you later, man.
Bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, man.
Cool. Yeah,
good beer. Kirk's beer was cool.
I liked it.
I like it. I hate to score it at 26, but geez, I mean,
what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, the real shortcoming is just nowhere to put that style.
Right.
It's just totally a Category 23 thing, and it's oh well.
What are you going to do?
They should have a beer competition where they just hand you the beer and you don't judge it against anything. You just say, here, score this beer on its own internal balance for what it is. It's not declared as being anything. Just taste it. Do you like it? 0 to 50 points.
We should do that. Well, maybe.
I mean, as a beer judge, you'd be predisposed to kind of guessing. Maybe this was a such and such style that they da-da-da.
Freestyle judging.
Just have everything in the competition be a weird Category 23 that has either really good balance or
That
really
has been done.
Crappy balance.
I have the T-shirt.
Oh,
it has been done.
That's true.
Yeah, the long shot, right?
That.
Yeah, they did that for a while.
How'd that work out for them?
Well, they stopped. They went back to all the styles.
All the
They had to
normal
brew
stuff.
some interesting beer.
They had some interesting beers out of that, yeah.
All right, let's take our much overdue break, and then when we come back, we're going to do our commercial calibration of the Celebrator Doublebock. Dr. Homebrew, everyone, back after this.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
Do you like beer? They make beer.
Watch out!
Do you like friends and fun? They make friends and fun.
Watch out!
Do you still like to have a good time? The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
The 21st Amendment in San Francisco, located at 563 2nd Street, 2 blocks from the building where baseball is seen and played. Try their beers in the pub or try them in the can, featuring
Monk's Blood.
Made with real monk.
Watch out!
So why not have the best time of your life? Go to the 21A and Sean O'Sullivan will personally greet you with a can of
Monk's Blood. The 21st Amendment.
Watch out!
This advertisement is not in any way affiliated nor associated with the 21st Amendment Bar and Pub, nor its subsidiaries or affiliates. This telecast is not copywritten by the 21st Amendment for the private use of the Brewing Network. Any use of this telecast without Jamil Zainashev's consent is prohibited. Suck it, JP.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contracts, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew.
Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small, single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit.
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Now serving patient number 189. Number 189 at the counter, please.
Now back to Dr. Homebrew.
All right, we're pouring our Iyengar Celebrator Doublebock. But before we do that, I want to tell you about possibly the best membership money can buy. That's right, the American Homebrewers Association, or the AHA, as they're more commonly known. They do a lot of great things for homebrewers, for us folks, for all your peoples. A small one-year membership gets you so much. It gets you the Zymergy magazine. It gets you access to all of their online content. It allows you to enter in some pretty cool comps. More importantly, the National Homebrewers Competition, which is the largest homebrew competition around, and definitely one that everyone tries to compete in. You need to be a member to do that. So cruise on over to the American Homebrewers Association and sign up. You know, not only do they teach you about how to make great beer, they bring you a lot of good interviews, like I said, across their magazine and their website, but they also fight for a lot of our rights, and they are a large reason why it's legal to brew in the states that it's legal to brew in, and they do a lot of good. So help them out. They help us out. They help you out. Help them out.
They do. and it's legal to pour homebrew at festivals and stuff. And yeah, California had some law changes that had to do a lot with them too. Then you go to NHC in San Diego next year and hang out with Gary and Janice and all those cool people down there.
It's going to be awesome for sure. So check them out. AHA, everybody, show them some love, please. All right, what do we have here?
Doublebock.
What we have is a Doppelbock. Yeah.
I really do like this beer. It's one of the few Doppelbocks I ever pick up at the store.
It's a malt bomb that you will drink.
It's a super malt bomb. But it's only, this says 7.2%.
Right. So this is pretty low alcohol for a Doppelbock.
It's on the lighter side of the style, yeah.
So we're going to do our little commercial calibration. So you folks at home, you can usually, I think, find Celebrator year-round.
Pretty much, but this is the best, probably a good time of year to find it.
Yeah, when it's all being released. And so the purpose of these commercial calibrations is to give you kind of a palate tweak, give you a little bit broader vocabulary when you're talking about beer, and so you can run out, buy the same beer that we're drinking here in the studio, and not just to see how great we are, but for you to kind of calibrate your palate, to be honest. So then when you're drinking either this style or something else, you can kind of pull out some of these other words, and hopefully we can actually help you define some of these things. Quite often there's a lot of beer drinkers who aren't used to analyzing a beer, excuse me, and there's that flavor on the tip of their tongue they just can't grasp. And
what is it?
Yeah, it's like,
what do you call it?
It's like a thing where it's like, when you
Why can't I grab the end of my tongue?
When you step on a shoelace and it hurts, I don't know, whatever. But hopefully we can help put a name to that weird flavor profile that you're thinking about. So this is, like I said, the Celebrator Doublebock from Iyengar Brewery, the one with the little plastic goat on it. And Lee?
Yeah.
Start talking about beer, dude.
Yeah, that's the thing. You never throw away the goat. You got to keep those.
Always keep the goat.
What is this beer all about? Lee, you did a good job on the last episode of describing that Oktoberfest.
What is this
after
beer
I just
all
read
about?
blindly out of Jamil's book. So tell me what this beer is all about.
It's about malt. It's just like the other one. It's all about malt.
Our friend Malt.
About toasty, dark, triple decocted malt that's getting cocoa flavors and chocolate and coffee and all these good things going on, and it's just all about malt.
Triple decoction.
Classically, this would be the triple decocted beer.
Ugh.
Yes. Yeah.
That's like
lots of work, lots of energy.
14-hour brew day.
Pretty much. Which is why basically almost nobody actually does it anymore, even over there.
And you test the malt.
Really?
You test the conversion of your mash by how well your lederhosen stick to the brewing bench.
Right.
You don't have no fancy.
Right. You have to walk away slowly from this beer.
How do they?
It's done.
Then over there, how do they get the same flavor?
Well, there's a few breweries that still do it, from what I understand.
Yeah.
Like I think the Weltenberger brewery does it.
Mm-hmm.
The Weinsteffen may actually still do it.
They better. They have a school.
You would think so. They got to be able to teach this stuff. Other than that, I don't know, but I know that a lot of them just don't do the triple decoction.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they don't even do doubles. There's some modern malts you can sort of fake the flavors with. I don't know that that's really going on here, though. This one's tasting pretty nice. But, I don't know what Iyengar's practices are.
Let's get them on the phone right now.
Yeah, but if you want to do it as a home brewer and you want to get it right, you want to win that ribbon, or you just want something that tastes flat out awesome.
Right.
Along these ways, awesome Bach. Do the triple decoction. That's how you do it.
Awesome
All right.
Bach?
Fair enough.
And that's a topic for a whole other show that's probably already been done by some of our technical people on how to do triple decoctions.
Yeah, but not by us.
Really?
Well, yeah, sure.
Oh,
well, you and I.
us
Like
right here.
us three, right. We don't need to do
That's a whole show. No,
Right.
we don't need to do that today.
No.
We're going to leave you. We're just going to tease you that you should learn this and start talking about the beer.
Definitely do. I almost did it once, and I was like, I can't do this.
Oh, God, that will go on for a while.
We'll leave it to
Almost as long as actually doing the damn thing.
I hate brewing in the first place. It's 8 hours or 6 hours of my life that's gone.
Right, yeah. Just don't boil anything you can't afford to lose.
We'll leave it to that new Brewing Network show that's coming up, Brewing for the Anal Retentive.
Right.
Hosted by,
For
I don't
the
know.
obsessive.
Right.
Who would host that?
Not me. That's for sure, man.
Really? I was just going to nominate you.
Yeah, I know, but I can't do it. Okay, so let's get into this beer.
So what's in this beer? Malt. Deep rich malt. Brown bread crust, very high intensity. Got a little bit of cocoa and coffee sort of aromas in this in the background. Not picking up anything in the way of hops. No diacetyl or DMS either. You do get some esters in these beers.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's actually ferment or just as likely they're actually probably coming from the malts in this beer, because that will happen too. You get some prune and plum kind of esters. I also got a little bit of kind of a grape ester in this one. All very to style. It's basically all malt all the time. Maybe a little bit of alcohol in there if you sniff closely. Pretty beer, brilliant clarity.
God, the color is amazing.
Sort of a deep brown red color. It's dark if you hold it down, but if you get it up to the light, it just has this nice sort of deep copper color. It's really pretty beer.
Yeah.
Pours a moderate light brown foam, which fades sort of slowly to a light cover. It could probably use it'd be nice to have a little better retention, but given the alcohol level, that's probably all right. Rich malt flavor, brown bread again, coffee, cocoa hints, a low spicy lavender hop flavor, and a low supporting bittering. Low grape, fig, and prune esters. These are all okay for style. The balance is definitely to the malt, unquestionably. Finishes, actually, for all the malt, fairly dry. A little bit of lingering malt flavors, all the stuff we talked about before. A little bit of that hop lavender and some alcohol. All very enough to style. Got a little bit of sort of a light carbonate water note in here. It's very nice. Very nice malt bomb. It's tons of malt flavor, but it's not sweet and sticky. Not terribly.
It's not right. It actually finished out.
Yeah, it dries out. So the body starts rich and smooth. It's not sweet and cloying. Dries towards the finish. Medium carbonation, some clean alcohol, a little bit of warming there. Not that much. It's definitely not hot or solventy. Just a little bit of a lingering warmth. No astringency. Medium-high creaminess. Could maybe use a bit more body, but not necessarily. I think the beer is balanced very well. I think for body and alcohol and everything, it's at the low end of the style, but it's balanced very well. So I think it's the sort of thing where, judging this, I would remark it's on the low end of the style, and I did. But since they got the balance right, it's just not a problem. It doesn't. Not all beers need to be in the center of the style or the high end of the style for the big ones.
Right.
This one really works the way they've balanced this out. So overall, rich, malty, yet well-balanced Bock. Big malt flavors without being sweet or cloying. Nice dry finish. Malt complexity is great. Just a little bit of supporting character from the hops. Big clean alcohol note. It's all there. It's great. It's an enjoyable example of the style. You could maybe have a touch more intensity in the aroma. You could have a bigger body. You could have a little bit more residual body in this. Some lingering. It's hard to get more malt complexity in this. Some have. You could add a little bit more darker malt character to it, but all those are coulds. I mean, you could make a bigger, darker, richer, more alcoholic Bock than this, and certainly have it be wonderful.
Sure.
But I think what they have done with this beer is they've completely nailed a beer that's on the lighter end of the style. It balances out so well. It's just wonderful. I gave this a 45. I put this up in the outstanding category. I actually didn't score it that high to begin with, but I kept going back to it. And it's like I can't justify not putting it here. So
you're right. They went for a style that has a lot of character, a lot of body, and they took it down to an approachable level, I think, and they did it really, really well.
Yeah.
Could you call it a session Doublebock?
Sure. You can call it whatever the
oxymoronator. Oxymoronator, right. Yeah, the session Doppelbock. Only 7.2%.
You can only drink 7 of them before you fall on the floor.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely a lighter example of this style, but they just nailed the balance in here. It's very nice. This is a very clean, nice bottle of it here, too.
You don't need to load a bunch of hops into a beer to make it balanced.
No. And you also don't need to make a beer that's the big end of the style to have it be exceptional and good. That's actually a key. A lot of time people will win competitions using entering the biggest beer in the style because it's got more intensity and flavor. But good judges will look for that balance. And if the bigger beer doesn't have the balance down as well as the smaller beer does, the smaller beer is going to win. It should win. And sometimes it's a conundrum you have to remember as a judge too, especially when you're approaching a big ass beer style like this, that the smaller ones sometimes are better, and you got to go back and look at it. And I mean, if you think when you've done sort of making all your notes and put scores in the subsections and gone and looked, was this good or very good or excellent or outstanding? Was that score right that I gave it? And if you don't think so, you need to adjust it. You need to put it where it belongs. Just on if the overall impression is telling you, I scored this as excellent, but really this is outstanding because there's almost nothing wrong with it, add a few points up and put it there if that's where it belongs.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Right. Oh.
That's what I always say.
He's the poet, and we all know it.
Wow.
All right.
It's come down to that.
Let's hope it's not. Brian, now it's your turn.
Yeah, so, okay. Going back a little history again. In German, the beer started in Germany, obviously. There's a town called Einbeck. So they recreated this beer in Munich starting in the 17th century. And the people there would ask they wanted the Einbeck style beer. So it was like, and in the Bavarian dialect, it's ein Bockbier. So ein Bockbier became a Bock beer, and it's Bock also happens to be the German word for goat. So a lot of the labels, including Celebrator, will have this one has 2 goats on the label because it's a double Bock. And
those Germans, man, they're just
the crazy names.
There's something hidden. They're right up front.
But this beer's been around for a long time. They've been brewing it there in southern Germany for quite some time, and they do a damn fine job of it. I have to agree with a lot of what Lee said here. I won't rehash too much of it, but I'm getting a lot of pleasant, strong melanoidins in the aroma, and it has these raisin and plum fruity notes underneath.
Brian.
Yes.
What are melanoidins? What do they smell and taste like? I glossed over that one too. We should probably give a description.
Melanoidins are flavor compounds that are generated when you develop when you do the triple decoction or any decoction. You're boiling a part of that mash, and it's increasing the color of the beer. It's also adding flavor components that are associated with that. And judges will refer to those generically as melanoidins. I think that melanoidins are actually the color-inducing components of that. But on a score sheet, it's perfectly appropriate to say, melanoidin flavor.
It
and
generally
they're rich,
comes across as
toasty, bready, like
toasty,
dark toasts, bread crusts kind of flavor. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you.
I know what you're saying.
Freshly baked dark bread that you've toasted to perfection, and that's kind of along the lines of what melanoidins are about. I'm not getting any. I mean, if I could pick out a fermentation derived ester versus malt one, I would say these are all coming from the malt. But it is kind of fruity, like Lee said, so it treads that line. But it's definitely a lager beer, cleanly lagered, cleanly fermented.
What yeast would you use for something like this? If you're getting a lot of those ester flavors from the malt,
you'd want to use a Bavarian lager yeast for this one.
Does that go cleaner? I mean, I guess lager yeast typically do that.
It's going to be your lagering regimen, but the fruitiness, the fruitiness is not going to come from your yeast if you lager it properly with.
Yeah, you're not trying to drive anything from the yeast.
Any
you
good
want
lager yeast,
a cleaner yeast. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, you make different yeasts will kick out different flavors, but you want to stick with the traditional one for this, and get it from the Bavarian. The peoples of Bavaria will send you their yeast so you can brew their beer. But yeah, clean alcohol in the aroma too. You definitely get a little bit of that. The color is beautiful, kind of a medium reddish brown color. Ruby highlights, had a low light tan head, and it persisted fairly well despite the obvious strength. Actually, in the flavor, just malty sweet, malt bomb, and there's a little bit of bittersweet chocolate in there with the plum and the dark cherry. Has a little low, tiny hint of an earthy, spicy hop in there, with a very low bitterness, but just enough to balance it and keep it interesting. But no fruity esters from fermentation that I can pick up. They're either cleanly lagered. Alcohol is clean and just slightly spicy, not solventy or aggressive at all. Just super smooth alcohol. And this one is on the lower side, you can tell, but those melanoidins really linger in the aftertaste on this. It has a really long palate, just keeps going, and the sweetness, the perception of the sweetness from this beer will stick on your tongue for a long while with those nice malty flavors. This one has a medium full body. Some of them will trend towards the full, and it doesn't need to go there. It can be kind of medium full and still filling, and it makes it a little more drinkable to me too. You can have a nice flavorful beer that's not going to just taste like, feel like syrup in your mouth. Medium low carbonation, somewhat creamy and smooth, no astringency or anything like that. Some clean alcohol warmth in the back of your throat. Wonderfully smooth Doublebock of the slightly darker and lighter variety. Some of these will tend towards the lighter colored. This one's kind of it's a brown beer, so some can be a little kind of coppery colored or even a little lighter, but this one tastes quite fresh and clean. Obviously a pretty well cared for bottle. You go with a little bit more complexity on the malt front, would complement the sweetness that's there nicely. But it's just, that's a fine point. The beer is really nicely done as is. And I also likewise bumped my score up a little bit because it just, I checked myself. It's like, why did I put it as excellent? This is an outstanding beer. This is a world-class example of the style. This is up there with the finest of the Doublebock. So I went up to a 46 even, just to outdo Lee a little bit. So
getting competitive,
right? Nice stuff. Really happy with this, and it's fun to taste some German beers this time of year. It's a really nice time of year to get a hold of it. But this, like Lee said, you can get this year round. But the Oktoberfests are out now. You can get cases of that at Costco sometimes. I got some Hucker Shore that was just excellent. Brought it to beer camp with us and just had great beer. So I love the fall. I'm happy. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm taking a photo of it because it's such a pretty color in the light, man, on the paper. It's just so adorable.
And we hung the goats here in the studio from the 2 bottles that we opened, so hopefully they stay there for a while. We'll just visit them every once in a while.
By the way, I just called my beer adorable.
Yeah, you did. I was going to say.
Right? I like this beer because it has a little goat on it.
It's adorable.
Totes adorbs, people.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break real fast. Because
is adorable.
Kind of screwed that up. And we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about this beer. We'll rehash Kirk's beer, and then we'll get out of here because, it's real late. Dr. Homebrew, everyone, back after this.
As a brewer, you already don't settle for second best. You want great tasting beer and you want great equipment to make it with. So don't settle for the second best grain mill. You want a Monster Mill from Monster Brewing Hardware. Monster Mills are tough, come in 2 and 3 roller designs, and are made right here in the USA from superior materials for longer lasting performance. Pick the mill that's right for you at monsterbrewinghardware.com and take Bevo's advice.
Trust me, it's always better to have a bigger tool than you think you need.
Monster Mills have the best warranty in the business. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Visit monsterbrewinghardware.com now and check out all the mills and mill accessories. Don't settle for second best. Get a Monster Mill from Monster Brewing Hardware.
Have you ever dreamed of attending the World Brewing Academy? This year, thanks to Lallemande and Danstar, one lucky brewer will make that dream a reality for free. Lallemande and Danstar invite you to enter the Beer School 2015 contest. One lucky grand prize winner will receive fully paid tuition to the 2015 World Brewing Academy web-based concise course in brewing technology worth almost $4,000. From now until December 13th, 2014, every Danstar yeast packet you use is your ticket to enter. Visit danstaryeast.com for the details and to print your official entry form. There's no limit on the number of times you can enter, so get brewing with Danstar and get your entries in to the Danstar 2015 Beer School Contest. Whether you want to build your home brewing skills or build a career as a professional brewer, this course will change the way you think of beer and brewing. Enter at danstaryeast.com and get the dry yeast advantage with Danstar and Lallemande Premium Brewing Yeast and enter to win.
Hey, dude, you know what beer this is?
No, all the labels are falling off.
Yeah, or the ink is run.
Well, if it's a pale ale, you're good, but stay away from the quote-unquote Belgian.
Oh, man, this guy needs to get some grog tags.
Grog tags are reusable, write-on, wipe-off, commercial-grade bottle labels for your brew. The guys at Grog Tag are homebrewers. They wanted great-looking, sturdy labels for your bottles, buckets, carboys, kegs, and growlers. They also wanted a label that not only looks good, but can be easily removed and reapplied during bottling without that nasty glue residue being left behind. No residue, water-resistant, and ice chest approved. Grog tags stay on in water or an ice chest, and they stay legible. Visit grogtag.com to Customize your label or coaster from dozens of different templates for free and see how awesome your bottles can look.
It's that pseudo-Belgian.
Yeah, we're getting him some grog tags, dude.
Grog Tag. At least your beer will look good. grogtag.com.
And now to the finale of Dr. Homebrew.
Don't worry, everybody. We're not going to lose you.
Oh, the drama. Yeah.
It's dramatic, dude. Don't even worry about it. On TNT, because they know drama.
Kidding. I mean, the things they do to treat a common cold these days.
Welcome back to Dr. Homebrew, everyone. We're going to do our little run-through session here. We're at the break. We were still talking about this Doublebock, and then I foolishly asked Lee, the guys were like, I wish we could have some of this in the homebrew competition. And I said, would that be a 50-point homebrew? And he said no. It would be a 45, 46 point. I mean, just what he scored the commercial example.
It's the same scoring scale.
Yeah,
a
but
less experienced judge than us might be so surprised to get that awesome, world-class.
That's what I'm saying.
Doublebock that they'd be like, hey, let's go straight to 50.
And that's what I would have done.
That's the temptation.
That's why I don't judge.
Well, and it leaves us with the very obvious and very difficult question of why is it not 50 points, having put it at 45.
Right.
Well, what's it missing?
Fine.
What would make this a 50-point beer?
I mean, for me,
for 5 extra points.
For 5 extra points.
Yeah.
It could have used just a slight tweak in the hop flavor to malt balance towards the malt.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily less dry, maybe a little less dry, but not less dry is what I'm looking for. A little bit more malt flavor. I mean, it's good on that. It was fabulous on that.
Yeah.
But I thought the hop flavor was, it makes for a wonderful balance, but it could almost have given way a little bit on that front.
Okay.
Other than that was about it. I like there was one, I think, the prune and the plum esters I got in here were really good. The gwite is sort of like a white grape ester component in there, which I thought was a little
Did you just
odd.
call it gwite?
Gwite. Well, that was yes. White is what I meant. White grape.
Oh, okay. I thought you were making up a new thing. I'm like, gwite.
Right.
Oh, here we go. All right.
It's the color you get from a guinea pig. It's white.
Okay,
it goes,
got it.
Quick. Anyways. It's late, yeah. That ester seemed a little bit out of place to me with all the dark malt and the darker esters that was going on. It wasn't bad. It blends in okay, but just like, what's that doing there? That's a little weird. And that one I thought might have actually been a ferment ester.
So avoid the gwite.
Avoid the gwite, right. Avoid the gwite like the plague, and your beer will be adorable.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, this beer is already adorable. Yeah. And then Kirk's beer. Do me a favor. Give me a rundown of Kirk's beer. It was basically just...
Kirk's beer was an interesting beer.
Put the Brett later on after primary.
Yeah.
That was a lot of it, right?
To behave a little more.
And then that Brett bomb.
Yeah, and then that would make the malt just be a different malt character.
It would have come through a little better with that the caramel that was there and some of the light chocolate notes that were in there in the background. They would have popped through a little better, I'm sure. And if you add a little wood alongside that Brett, that's what you might expect in a beer like that. Some in the old days, they would have been aged in a barrel. It's gonna maybe have some bread in it. After it finishes out, they'll let it go and let it age, and there you go.
Yeah, for sure.
Old ale. They don't call it old ale for nothing.
No, they don't. Those guys, they know what they're doing. Okay, and then so by default, once again, Kirk wins the grog tag. At least your beer will look good. $40 gift certificate. If you are a home brewer, which I assume you are, and you are looking to label your beers, or if you want personalized bottle caps or coasters or metal signs or any kind of little personal stuff like that, go to grogtag.com or their new sister site they just launched for the winemaker, crushtag.com. And it's not only for winemakers. You can go. They have different products than they do on the Grog Tag site. But check those guys out. They're big fans of the show. They're big supporters of the show. And they're big supporters of homebrewers just like you. So if you want customizable labels, reusable labels that won't come off in water, and you can peel them off, save them for your next batch if you want, that's where you got to go. grogtag.com. Check them out. Thank you very much, guys, at GrogTag for giving us this $40 gift certificate.
Can I use those labels for my homemade granola, too?
You can do, yes. We have people using them for kombucha. All sorts of weird hippie stuff.
Yeah.
You can granola, whatever you want, man. Soap.
I'm going to label my Groats bin.
Crystal deodorant, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, a lot of brewers have their own brand. You can just put, I've got one of their metal signs in my garage, actually. It's kind of cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
There you
Thanks,
go.
Brian. Appreciate
Well,
that.
JP gave it to me for free, so.
Well, it's fine. But I'm glad
Nothing's
that
for
no one's
free.
stolen it.
No.
Nothing's for free. You are paying for it one way or another. All right, everyone. On behalf of Kirk and the folks at the Iyengar Brewery and Brian and Lee, I want to thank everyone for joining us on... what did we just do? Dr. Homebrew, I feel, right?
Homebrew, yeah.
Number 45.
Yeah, and then I want to remind everyone that we do, of course, have the session. If you're looking for more beer radio, who knows? Maybe you found us just searching iTunes and don't know anything about the other programs we have here on the Brewing Network. Check out the session. It's on Mondays. It's 3 times a week or so. And it's a really cool mix of beer radio and entertainment and home brewing and craft brewing and all sorts of fun stuff like that. So check us out on the session over there. You can figure it out on iTunes. Go to the website, thebrewingnetwork.com, and download everything. Just get everything all at once.
Those guys get good guests. I mean, they always have somebody interesting on.
We do. We could start getting guests if we wanted to do some shows instead of a commercial calibration or something. Maybe we could do
taste some local breweries beer and get them in here. Yeah,
why not?
Oh yeah, danger.
New segment.
Yep. New segment. We'll develop that
local
later.
beer calibration.
Oh, man. And I just snorted. All right, everyone. It's Dr. Homebrew, everyone. It is too late. Yes, we're tired of being adorable.
And we're
going to
outta
go be
here.
adorable somewhere else.
Right.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take it easy.